What's going on? Welcome to another edition of the RPO College Football Podcast, your favorite podcast. And my name is Jerome Jones, and I'm here with my guy, the man, the myth, the legend. You already know who he is, Mr. Ray Roberts. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. Oh man, we got a lot to talk about.
We do.
We got a lot to talk about. Man, and I don't even know where to start. There's so many angles we could start with. But let's recap. Let's do the recap.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's do the games first because
let's do the recap.
May take a while. Yeah.
Let's do the recap. Hey, listen. As always, guys, this is an interactive podcast. So if you guys want to interact with what we're talking about, a lot of the questions you're probably gonna have, you're gonna talk about. But if you have any questions, hit the comments in the comment section. We're gonna talk about it, man. But oh man, what a weekend, man. What a weekend. Let's get to the games though. It was championship weekend. Obviously, the conference championships, man, was this weekend. And I don't think there was a lot of surprises. So we're going to definitely talk about that. We had one scenario. Me and actually Ray talked about it last week. And real quick, I just want to throw this up real quick. If it comes up, where is it? Hello. Okay. I mean, I guess it don't want to work today. So
I see it.
You see it?
I see it.
Oh, I don't
know about what teams doesn't make the.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't see it. Wow,
it's right here, right in front of me.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, I can't see it, but hey, let's talk about it. But the teams that are in and teams that are out, that's what we're talking about right now, and the odds of them winning. Sorry, it's so hard for me to see, so I apologize. We got the scenario of Michigan winning. We got the scenario of Alabama winning, Oregon winning, FSU winning, and Texas winning. So obviously, only one of those scenarios didn't happen, which was the Oregon win. And we're gonna talk about that real quick. We're gonna talk about that before we get into anything crazy. But let's get right to the first one. Texas versus Oklahoma State. It was a blowout win. Texas beat Oklahoma State 49-21. Now, this Oklahoma State team I thought was a good team. I thought, they had a really, really good year. Bowman was the one that was playing in this game. He was a former Michigan quarterback for Oklahoma State. He had 22 for 38, 250 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have a pick in that game. But obviously, like I said earlier, Texas blew them out. It was a blowout at halftime. It was 35-14 at halftime. Ray, what's your overall thoughts on this one?
That Washington's offense is what we thought it was, and
Oklahoma. You're talking about Oklahoma and
I'm sorry. Yeah, Oklahoma State. No, sorry. For some reason I had Oregon, Washington first in my book, so I just went right to the game. But anyway, that really the game wasn't as close as the score, even, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Texas just manhandled them.
Correct.
Kind of just let them Oklahoma State do what they wanted to do when they had to. Like it just really, it was a lopsided game, man. It was probably the worst game of the day, to be honest with you, really, as far as competitive nature. It just wasn't as close as even you think 49-20-21 is a big difference, and it was, but the game seemed like it was way worse than that, to be honest with you.
100%. Quentin Ewers with 35 attempts. I'm sorry, 35 completions, 46 completions. I'm sorry, attempts. 452 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did have a pick in that game, but Ray Ewers, man, he was looking good in that game. He was carving them up.
He basically did whatever he wanted to do in this game, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the stats speak for itself. 35 completions, only 11 incompletions. That's ridiculous, man.
Ridiculous.
I mean, and the thing is, you wouldn't think that, and they even ran the ball still pretty well, and they really just manhandled them, honestly. So,
Yeah, and then for Oklahoma State, they only have 15 15 attempts, 31 yards. That's like what, a little, just slightly over 2 yards per run.
It was probably again the most lopsided game of the day. And again, it just seemed like Oklahoma State was never really in the game.
Yeah, that game was too much of a lopsided game, man. Obviously, their defense really let them down. They've been playing so good all year. I thought it was funny how the Texas Longhorns was chanting out SEC during the ceremony. I thought that was crazy, chanting out SEC while your Big 12 commissioner was up there handing y'all the trophy. So very interesting. They will be in the SEC next year. Next year is going to be very interesting for sure. I'm very curious how this is going to turn out because it's going to be a whole new world next year. But we can talk about that a little bit more at the end. Let's get to our next game, Ray, and that will be, we're going to go to the Michigan game first. Michigan versus Iowa. Now, obviously, me being a Michigan fan, I watched this entire game. JJ McCaffrey, 22 completions, 30 attempts, only 147 yards. Blake Corum, 2 touchdowns in the game, only 52 yards. This was a very defensive game. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. This team is really good on defense. I'll say that. Ray, what's your overall thoughts on this before I kind of put my 2 cents on it?
Well, because like you said, I think Michigan's defense is really good. I think it's a shame again that really the week before against Ohio State and Michigan basically was the Big Ten championship game. Whoever won that game was going to win the next game. Correct. It's just a shame that they're in the same side, the same bracket of the conference. But I mean, like, again, Michigan basically manhandled them. Iowa's defense is good. We know it's good. They held Michigan to, two a little over, like not even 2 yards a carry, 1.9 yards a carry. But Michigan did just a little bit better than Iowa at everything on offense and won the game. Pretty, like, obviously very handily. So, again, I talked about the last game with Texas this was a lopsided game, but it was more of a slugfest where it didn't seem like it because Michigan just grinded until they pretty much manhandled Iowa. So,
100%. Yeah, I agree with that. My biggest thing is on this game. My biggest thing is I'm glad we won. I'm glad that it was a lopsided game. I was not happy with the offense still. Glad my guy, Jim Harbaugh is back, but it seemed like it was kind of the same kind of things. He was kicking field goals way too often. And I've been watching 2 teams kicking too many field goals this weekend. Wasn't really happy about it. Obviously, you see what's on my chest right now. That's a little part of it as well. But Iowa does have a really good defense, and I'm glad you kind of like brought me back to earth with that, Ray, because I was kind of like, man, why is Michigan not scoring? Man, like you should blow these cats out, like. And a 26-0 score is a blowout, but it's not like a college. It don't feel like a college blowout. That's a blowout in the NFL. That's an NFL blowout. It's not like a college blowout. Yeah.
Well, because in the NFL, teams are usually a little bit closer in talent than in this game. I mean, again, Iowa really had no answer on offense for Michigan. That's basically why they didn't win the game. I said how they held Michigan to like slightly under 2 yards a carry. Michigan held them to 1.2 yards a carry. So they barely got over a yard a carry. So again, talk about Michigan's defense dominated. Their offensive line did just enough against a rule. This is what I don't want anyone to act like Iowa's 10-2. They're a good team.
Correct. You're right.
But their defense carried them most of the year. And when they scored on offense, it was because they got short fields.
Yeah.
We didn't get any short fields against Michigan, a la the shutout.
Correct. No, I agree with you, Ray. So, and obviously, Kay McNamara didn't play in that game. He was injured. So it's Eric Gall. So, I know they wanted to play Michigan, being their former team and everything like that, but both did not get that opportunity. But yeah, man. Again, I think there's a lot for us to still improve on. I think that the defense is playing really well. I want the offense to click a little bit more. I don't like to see J.J. McCaffrey with only 100-something yards and that many attempts that he had. 30 attempts, 147 yards.
He literally averaged 4 yards a play.
Correct.
That's a good rushing average. It's not a good passing.
Yeah. So I was glad to see him use his legs a little bit more in that game, though. Looking like he's a little bit more healthier than he was before. So, and we got some time. We got almost 3 weeks before the national championship game. So, obviously we can work on it, get better at it. We got a big game. We'll mention who they play in a little bit, but I'm content because we won. We beat Ohio State, and we kind of cakewalked that game. Not happy about some of the. You can't be mad about winning, and I'm not. Can't be mad about winning. I'm not mad about winning, but it's still little things that we need to pick up on. We got some tough teams that we're going to be playing in the next couple of weeks. So I definitely want us to be more sturdy and really look like a number one ranked team right now. So, all right, let's get to our next one. Let's do Washington versus Oregon. Ray almost jumped the gun on that one. Ray, I didn't realize this game was on a Friday. And I was kind of upset because I missed most of this game because I was at a high school football game that night because it's high school playoffs right now in Georgia right now. So I was at one of those games. So I didn't realize it was on Friday. I was kind of mad. But, hey, man, a really close game. I thought this game came out, as far as the score at least, I thought it kind of played out very close to what I thought. What's your thoughts on this one, Ray?
Like you said, I expected a good game. I never understood why Oregon was favored by as much as they were. I expected it to be a pretty close game. It was. We saw that Michael Penix is a very good player.
Correct.
Bo Nix had a solid game.
Yeah.
But it was a good game though, man. Offense back and forth, kind of like a couple stops here on defense. Washington got stops at the end where they needed to, and they won the game. It was a good game. I mean, I really thought – I knew it was on, and I watched the whole game. So I was like very – we picked Oregon. I know I picked Oregon to win the game. They were favored by 9.5.
Yeah, I think I picked
Oregon. I didn't think they were going to win by more than a couple of points, but I didn't think didn't think they were going to lose either.
Correct.
But I mean, Washington is doing what Washington needed to do to make sure they were a playoff team, and they did. So good for them.
Yeah. I mean, they beat them earlier in the season, and then they got to beat them again here. Both games was good games, so you can't be mad about that. I will say that Oregon was down kind of early, and at the half, it was 20-10 at the half. Oregon came back in the game, and then in the fourth quarter, Washington shut it down on defense and started scoring a couple more points at the end of it to make it a winnable game. So shout out to Washington. They're currently the number 2 team. So interesting, very interesting, and we're gonna talk about it. But yeah, so let's talk about the next one, and let's do Louisville FSU. So this is a game that I did not think it was going to be this low of a score. I thought it was going to be a lot more high power. Like, man, there was barely a score in the first half. There was a 1 field goal in the half. It was a very defensive game. Obviously, FSU is playing with a backup quarterback right now. I don't know what's going on with Louisville, man. They cannot score and they've been playing really well all season. Now, their defense, we always said their defense was good. But, Ray, what's your overall takes on this game?
That I think in the games that I watched Louisville play this year is that when they did have like games where they scored pretty high, like they scored like 33 against Notre Dame,
Mm-hmm.
it was more because their defense set them up, got short fields for them, got the other team to turn the ball over. And again, Florida State played a clean game, and it didn't happen for them. So, shout out to Florida State, man. They had their backup quarterback in there, and they went out in there, played a strong game, and won a conference championship. So good for them.
Yeah, man. I mean, they could have folded. They could have been crying about their quarterback not being in there. They could have, folded, and no, they rose to the occasion. They're like, hey, our guy's out. Let's pick up for him. Especially the defense. The defense was being stifled. Only gave up 188 yards the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. And kudos to them, man. I think there was a couple of turnovers as far as fumbles. I know Plummer threw an interception in the game. Excuse me.
Well, the other thing I'll come up with the fact that Jack Plummer's not very good.
Mm-hmm.
He's not very good, man. He's not.
Yeah.
He's really good. And I don't want to say that about college kids, but they're all getting paid now, so it's all good. He's not good, man. Yeah. He doesn't anticipate guys breaking open. He's not really athletic. I don't understand what he offers you as a starting quarterback. I don't see it.
Yeah. I think and there's going to be a lot of players that's in the portal coming out, especially quarterbacks. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe they might grab one. We'll see though. But this game was again, it wasn't the prettiest game. It was a game that you did root for FSU after all the adversity they had to go through. Their quarterback Travis. What's his name? Last name? Jordan Travis. Sorry, I was mixed up his name. Jordan Travis. Him having that major leg injury, being in the press box watching, and you could tell he was in pain, but he wanted to be there for his boy. So shout out to him. Shout out to them for sure, man. All right, let's get to the game of the week, man. We already knew it. We already said it's gonna be the game of the week, and it did not disappoint. UGA versus Alabama, the Crimson Tide. Undefeated versus 11-1. Alabama winning 27-24. It was looking rough for Georgia at first, man. It was a 17-7 game at the halftime. Georgia. I think Georgia scored on their first drive, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't see the first quarter.
They literally marched right down the field the first drive. No problem.
Yeah.
Bowers had a couple of nice catches.
Mm-hmm.
Looked okay. Later on, he didn't look quite as good. It looked like he was amped to get out there. Then reality set in after a while. He's not right now.
So. Yeah. I did think he came back a little bit too soon.
He did. And again, he looked good in the first drive.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably had some juice. And then Anthony realized, I'm really not right now. He didn't look comfortable running good routes. He looked like kind of methodical, a little robotic, probably because he's not 100% healthy.
Correct. No, I agree, Ray. But this is a good game, man. And we talked about Jalen Monroe, man. He's hot, man. I said it last week, and I'm going to say it again. Alabama's the hottest team in college football right now, and it showed why, man. They did let Georgia come back a little bit, and I mean, you gotta kind of expect that. Georgia was the number one team in the nation at the time, and you go against a Alabama team who's super hot, and they went up and they got a pretty large lead in the beginning, but Georgia came back a little bit. But I'm telling you, Monroe was making some throws, and that catch by what's his name? I'm bringing his name. Bond.
Yeah.
What a catch. What a catch, man. And that's one of those catches, like, you gotta have it. You gotta figure out how to get that ball. You gotta figure out how to get that first down. And they did it, man.
Yeah. And I also think the fact that Ladd McConkey, the wide receiver from Georgia, was not right,
He was a little gimpy too. He got injured, I think, in the first quarter, and
yeah,
he was not
and
right.
it seemed like he never was exactly right after that.
Yeah,
and really, him and Bowers are the best players on offense, and
100%.
they still hung in there. So Georgia deserves a lot of credit.
Correct.
They played a good game. I mean, this is one of like last week with Ohio State, Michigan. It was a good game.
Yeah.
Somebody had to lose.
Correct.
You know, it's just in the cards, man. Like somebody had to lose. Well, I mean, you can't tie because they're championship games, so they
100%.
So somebody had to lose, and Georgia was just on the short end of the stick at the end when the gun shot out. You know, so
100%. Yeah, and then what's his name? Jeremiah Burton was able to get that touchdown on his former team when he transferred this year. So he was excited about that. He only got 2 catches though. It wasn't making that such a big deal. He only had 2 catches in the game, so I didn't. I don't know.
So kudos.
Yeah. He got the touchdown. Got his team up. So, but yeah, man. This was a good game, man, and this was a good weekend. A unlikely scenario, and it was a tough scenario, especially for Georgia. And we're going to talk about this because, man, let's get right to it, Ray. Let's get right to it. The college football rankings, man. Because I know this is going to be maybe the biggest topic that we're going to be talking about tonight. So before we really get into it, let me tell you guys what the rankings are now. If you've been living under a rock, you don't know, we're going to talk about the rankings, and then we're going to talk about the matchups that's going to go next. But let's talk about, we're going to go to number from 10 up, Ray. So let's get right to it. All right, at number 10, Penn State, at being at 10-2, they stayed at number 10. At number 9, 10-2, we have Missouri, so they went there. Number 8, going from 5 to 8, was Oregon. Oregon losing to Washington, so they fell to 8. I don't think that's a huge surprise. Ohio State didn't have a game last week, so they actually got pushed down. They were 11-1, so they're 7. Number 6, now this got to be the big surprise for me. Georgia, the 12-1 Georgia, getting placed at number 6, out of the playoffs. We're gonna talk about it. Number 5, another big surprise. An undefeated surprise. FSU at number 5, falling down 1 spot, not making the playoffs. Now, we just talked about this game, and we're going to individually talk about each one of these teams, but that sucks. Number 4, we got the team that just beat the best team, which is Alabama at 12-1. They got pushed up 4 spots to get to number 4. You got number 3. I think this makes sense still. Texas, they got pushed up 4 spots. They are in the playoffs. Number 2, you got Washington, 13-0 at number 2, got pushed up 1 spot. And the number 1 team in the nation, number 1 team in the nation. I don't know what team that is. What team is that? That would be my Blues. Go Blue. Michigan, number 1. We was number 2 all year. Finally got that number 1 spot. So let's get to it, Ray. Let's get to it. I know there's a lot of reactions on the weekend. I think the playoff rankings went out on Sunday. I was highly surprised about it. Now, I know there was a lot of criticisms on it. Some of it made sense to me. Excuse me. Some of it didn't. I want to hear what your thoughts, Ray. Which one? Where do you want to start at? What do you want to start with?
Do I think that the committee got it right? I think they did get it right.
Okay.
Do I think that Georgia should have been fallen out of the top 4? I think they had to, based on what happened in the other games.
It's rough.
It could be rough. You don't want to be knocked out of the top spot, win the game. You didn't win the game. It happens.
Yeah.
If anybody should be upset, it should be Florida State. But again, the committee got it right because no one in their right mind thinks that. I'm sorry, no one really thinks that Florida State would beat Alabama, do they? Do they really think that? The way Alabama's playing right now? Dude, honestly, I can make an argument that Georgia should have been number 5 and Florida State could be 6. Because you really think they're going to beat Georgia right now? I think that Georgia would smoke them, okay? So again, Florida State fans have every right to be upset. But the committee got it right, so every college football fan should be happy.
Yeah.
This is where you can't put your biased opinions ahead of college football. You can't. Sorry.
I'm guessing this is Remy. What's up, man? I appreciate you being in here.
This is where I differ from other fans, though. If I were a Big Ten fan, I would root for my conference to win a championship. But that's me, okay?
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Ray. I think if it was I'm not rooting for Ohio State. I'm just saying.
Okay, I understand you hate Ohio State. Listen to me, though, man. For years, we've argued Big Ten versus SEC.
Mm-hmm.
So now I understand you're rooting for a Pac-12 team. Okay, I get that. That's fine. That kind of makes a little bit of sense. And I understand Ohio State fans do not want to root for Michigan fans. I get that. But here's the difference. If you give me the choice of the teams that are in the playoffs right now, if you said to me, Ray, who do you want to win the championship? I would probably say Michigan. Now, do you want to know who I think is going to win it?
Remy, you're rude. You're rude, Remy.
No, I get it. Again, I see, like here's the thing. And I know I'm a different person because Notre Dame's not in a conference, so I don't have conference bias like other people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it. It doesn't exist in me. I don't believe in it.
So I don't have no horse in the race. I'll go for the squad that bothers me the least. So it's Washington for me. Oh, okay.
Again, I understand. No, that part, like I said, I just understand. Wasn't sure that was Remy or not. I didn't know who it was.
That is Remy.
I understand you're a root for a Pac-12 team because on the other side of the country, you don't really care about them. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. Again, do you want me to tell you who I think is going to win, or you want to wait for later on down the road?
No, you're right. Not for you. Let's get to what I think as well. I'm gonna actually agree with Ray. Now, is it the committee's fault? Nah, because you only got 4 spots. And I get it. And the thing is, the problem with it for me is that all 4 teams that are in, I will not be like, oh, they don't deserve to be in or they shouldn't be in. So for me, I'm just like, dang, this would have been a great playoffs next year.
It would have been
1 year too early.
Yeah,
1 year too late.
I agree with that. Honestly, Jerome, if I were running college football, I'd have been like, you know what? I'm doing what's best for college football. I think Georgia and Florida State should make the playoffs this year. I'm opening up to 6. And if you don't like it, too bad.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks. You have an undefeated team not make it.
Jerome, here's the other thing. If Jordan Travis was playing, then maybe No.
There was no maybe.
Well, if he were playing, Florida State absolutely has a huge gripe then. Because with that kid, they could beat most of these teams.
Mm-hmm.
But without him, they can't.
Yeah.
So again, the committee got it right. They saw, man, Florida State's really a good defense, and they're a good team.
Yeah.
And with that quarterback, they're dangerous. But without him, they're not.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel so bad for the FSU and FSU team and the school, man, that they grinded out, they did everything right, and to still not get in, man, that sucks. So I feel bad for FSU. I don't like FSU. I don't hate them, but I don't like them either. But I just feel for you guys, man. So kudos to them. But Georgia, my fandom in me hates it for Georgia. I mean, how you go from 1-6 in one game? Right. I get it.
You
I get it.
lose, and then the teams ahead of you went 13-0. Easy.
They did.
Easy.
Yeah.
Okay. Does Georgia deserve to be ahead of Michigan, Washington, Alabama, or Texas? If you can make an argument for that, then there's an argument for them to be in the top 4. And if there's not, they fell to 6 because there was an undefeated team that finished ahead of them. Sorry.
You're right. You're right. As a fan, I love it. I love it.
Really, like, I don't have a problem with Georgia. I don't
either. Listen, this is the thing, Ray. I don't have a problem. I initially don't have a problem with Georgia. I have a ton of Georgia players on my Eagles team. I actually think I like Georgia. I like what they've been doing the last couple of years. You know, they finally got over the Alabama hump. My issue is that these Georgia fans are so obnoxious lately. And I don't know how it was before I got here.
It's like Patriots fans. It's like it's their right, their birthright to win now.
I think I told you this. I have a friend who's a Georgia fan. Obviously, she's a female, but she loves Georgia. You know, and you know, throughout the season, me and her kind of like talking about our teams. You know, she's a Georgia fan. They went in, yay, Georgia, whatever. You know, I talk about my team, and it's just like no reaction. Like she'll talk about Georgia. I'm like, yeah, Georgia had a really good win. I'm like, hey, my Michigan. She's like, okay, whatever. You know, it's not your team, whatever. Yeah. So we were both undefeated at the time, and it was probably like 3-4 weeks ago, and I was like, oh man, you might get a Georgia and Michigan matchup. I really wanted that. I wanted to come back and be able to show, hey, y'all beat us last time. I want to come, you know, at least have a chance to beat y'all. And listen, my head coach said it too. We want to beat Georgia. He said to beat the best, we got to beat the best. I mean, to be the best, we got to beat the best. And Georgia is the best. So Jim Harbaugh was all about beating Georgia. That was his theme all year, right? Remember that, Ray?
Yeah.
We thought it was a little crazy, but I actually started liking it. I was like, hey, man, hey, you gotta if you want to be the best, you gotta beat the best, right? So she was like, no. She's like, I was like, what you mean no? Like, they're both undefeated. They're gonna eventually most likely play each other. The likelihood of them playing each other is very high. She just said no. Like, oh, wow, okay.
Well, she was right.
Georgia, so well, listen, whoa, you're right, because Saturday happened, Georgia lost, and I was like, oh wow, like it's even more likely now that Michigan and Georgia are going to play, because probably it might be 1-4. They're going to play the first game of the playoffs. And then she was like, oh yeah, I guess. And then it didn't happen. They didn't get in the playoffs. I was talking to her about it, and I was like, well, I guess we're not playing now. You was right. Like, so I got a little kick out of that.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
She was right. She was not wrong. Right. I was wrong. She was right. So, just gotta say this, guys. Alabama will continue to be the Kings moving forward. Georgia had a nice run, good for them. But Alabama is king. Hate to say it, but it is what it is. I agree to a sense, because Alabama is not the same team. Now, hottest team in the country, I said that. Yes, they still don't have that Alabama feel to them. They still make a lot of mistakes, which is very unrealistic.
Is that Remy too?
I believe so. Let me check.
Whoever it is, that's exactly right, man. Absolutely right. Everything you just said right there is exactly right. If they would have done that and put Florida State in, they would have got beaten by 30 or 40 in that first round. What good is that? What good is it? I mean, I like Florida. I should say it. I respect Florida State. I respect all college football teams.
Mm-hmm.
I respect Florida State. I respect what their tradition has been. Jerome, me and you are the ones been saying for three or 4 years now. I hope Florida State gets back to being relevant again. Okay, they were relevant this year. Sorry, your quarterback and your best player got hurt. You're not that relevant yet. Sorry.
No, you're right. But yeah, I mean, we've been wanting it, but I don't know. I do feel bad for them, man. Like,
no, I feel horrible for their fans because if I were a Florida State fan, I would want to be in the dance, even if I don't know if I have a chance or not. I understand. It's like Miami won the last time they won their division, and it was because Tom Brady tore his Achilles, and I knew, man, it's really going to be cool making the playoffs, but I knew I was going to go out in the first round, dude. I knew it. It's the same thing now. It's like I agree. That's.
I agree with that too. I agree. No, I'm not disagreeing. I did say I agree with Ray. And as hard as it is for me to say that, because when you really think about it and you really put your mind to it, it makes sense. I mean, Alabama beat Georgia.
This is what I don't understand, though, Jerome. Everything they did made sense, and here's one of the most problems, though. You're a big college football fan. I'm a big college football fan. Remy's a big college football fan. So we see the big picture.
Correct.
Casual fan does not, but they're the ones that make the most noise.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Georgia.
Exactly.
Hey, listen, I would have loved to have a chance to beat, Georgia, but I guess we're not going to now.
If they would have put Georgia in, right, and left out, who are they going to leave out? Can't leave out.
Because the thing is, if you would have picked Georgia in, you had to still pick Alabama, man.
You had to.
And you kind of had to pick Texas in, which would have left Georgia. You would have had an undefeated Washington and an undefeated
that Jerome. That's the alternative. You take out Washington, who did nothing wrong and scored 40 points.
Yeah, you had two undefeated teams out instead of just one. You can't justify that. You
couldn't do it. It just couldn't happen. That's all there is to it. I mean, I respect the Georgia program. I do agree with Remy that they had a nice 2-year run there. And I'm not saying they're done. They're never going to win again. But Alabama is still the dog, man. They are. They're a good team.
Look, and Remy, I agree with what you're saying. And, we have to play Alabama the first one. That might be the worst case scenario. My thing is, again, I said it earlier, to be the best, you got to beat the best. Alabama's the best. You want to beat them.
I don't know if you want me to tell you this right now or not, but I think Texas is winning the whole thing.
You're not the only person I heard say that.
I think they're winning the whole thing.
Yeah, you're not the only person I heard say that. So I'm not surprised.
It's funny. I was texting with Ryan the other day, and I'm like, dude, what do you think about the playoffs? It was me, him, and some other guy, Mike, he's doing a little betting thing with right now. I'm like, what do you think about the playoffs? He goes, what do you mean regarding? I'm like, who's going to win? And then before I got a text back from him. I'm like, I kind of like Texas. And he goes, I like Texas. I'm like, really? And then it was like back and forth. Really? I just think that the way it worked out, right? Alabama's a good team. Are they going to beat Michigan? They can. Are they going to? It depends. If Michigan can slow it down and pound the rock, they have a shot to win the game. If they try
and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about that like in full.
Right. If they get into a shootout, they're done.
Yeah.
Okay? Texas is going to beat Washington.
Mm-hmm.
They are. I mean, again, Washington was a nice story this year. Texas is playing a whole new level. Their coach has experience calling big games. I think that they're going to win. And then I think Texas is going to beat Alabama because they're going to outscore them. Again, I went into a lot of that I wasn't sure if I wanted to go into right now.
I think Georgia is going to giving Alabama a second lift and a second.
Agreed.
What that word is?
Yeah.
What's that word?
That one?
The one right under you. Right over there.
I think it's supposed to be Carnival.
Oh, second Carnival? Okay. Just might have screwed everyone. Ouch. Chance. He's correcting himself. He's
Chance.
Yeah.
Right. I think Georgia. Again, agreed. I think that the problem was that it was back and forth in the beginning. The problem for Georgia is in the first half they couldn't sustain offense, and I think at the end they were a little tired on defense.
Yeah,
I think they were.
Yeah.
We talked about all year though. What could be the Achilles heel of Georgia? Don't have the depth they've had the last 2 years on defense. And it came back.
Offense too, Ray.
Yeah, but they're a defensive team, man. They're not.
And I hear that. But also, like you see all the receivers they had lately, all the tight ends they had, all that, right? And again, they had that. If Brock Bowers would have got out last year, they had Washington last year.
Right.
This year they don't have that kind of depth. So they lost Brock Bowers and they lost McConkey in that game, and it showed.
I think honestly losing both of those guys, or you know what, I'll rephrase that. If they have both of them guys, I think they win the game. If those guys are healthy and playing their game, they win the game. I do.
Yep.
The fact that Bowers was stiff and not playing a full, and McConkey got hurt early and never got his feet under him, I think they're probably the biggest difference in the game. Mm-hmm. And again, their defense looked a little tired at the end of the third quarter because that was where Alabama, again, jumped up and got a 10-point lead twice right then. And then Georgia didn't have the firepower to keep up with them, really. Honestly, if the game would have went 5 more minutes, Alabama would have went up 10 again. Georgia would have cut it again to 3, and then they would have lost anyway.
Definitely. I agree.
Wasn't there, man.
Yeah. He says Nick Saban's up there with the greatest. Never count him out or his squad. One of the greatest. No, I agree. He said, God, I hate saying this because I really don't care for Alabama, but damn, Nick Saban got his guys heated at the right time. And I wanna comment on that because I have a few things I want to talk about. And I don't want to get too in depth of how or what way I think Michigan can win, or I'm not even gonna say who I think is gonna win, or how I think this game's gonna go. But we're gonna talk about that. We got plenty of time to talk about that.
We do.
What is the thing I just said? I just said Alabama's the hottest team in college football right now, right?
Them and Texas.
Yes. The problem is they had 3 weeks to kind of manifest on that.
Yeah.
You're a hot team because you had to come in consecutive games. Now you got a long stretch before you play again. We'll see. I mean, it's the same thing with Michigan. But I'm just saying.
If I'm Michigan, I'm starting out with big packages, extra tight ends, extra offensive linemen. I'm wearing
them out. Yes,
running them out. The ball. If Michigan can run for 150 or more yards, they can win the game. If they get 80 or 90, they lose by 10.
Yeah, and Remy, thanks for saying that. Actually, Jerome, you're good. No worries, man. No one's getting blown out. These games are going to be good games, entertaining, close. Michigan might win it all. Who knows? Listen, I agree with you, Remy. This is probably the closest of teams that I've seen in the playoffs in a couple of years, actually. So I don't remember 4 teams that was like this close. It's usually one team that gets super blown out. So I think I agree with you, Remy. I agree with you. I like what you're saying right there. I think that's a good comment that you write right there because a lot of teams are close, and I don't see any teams getting blown out. Now, will it be a blowout? Maybe. We'll see.
I mean, if Michigan can keep Alabama's quarterback in the pocket and not let him escape and make plays, again, that's a way to get turnovers and get a short field because Michigan's a better team than Alabama. I told you this before. I just don't know if there's explosive enough to win with them if they get into a game.
That's my thing. It's just that, man, these last couple of games, man, it's been scaring me because they haven't been that explosive on offense. So
if you can get McCaffrey to throw the ball 25 times and run the ball 5 or 10 times and get positive yardage,
Yeah.
That to me is the formula for a winning game.
Now, right. And I think I said this in the beginning of the season. Like, I was like, Ray, I don't know about our offense. And it came out that McCaffrey was actually injured. And I think I want to say, it was right before the Penn State game. I think he got injured. I think. So that's why you've seen so much running in the Penn State game. That's why you've seen him kind of struggling in the Maryland game. I think he kind of got on his own a little bit for the Ohio State game. So I think he's still getting injured. I mean, I think he's still a little injured, but he's playing through it. I think that with these weeks off will kind of get him refreshed. So we'll see how that goes. There was a point in time when we had McCaffrey as a Heisman. So he was looking good at one point, and then it kind of just stopped and got stale with him. So we'll see. I hope we can get that McCaffrey in. I hope we get last year's J.J. McCaffrey in here, because last year J.J. McCaffrey played very game in that game they lost at TCU. He did have that pick early in the game, but he was outstanding in that game. So, and that kept us really in that game was him. So
you know who I really love when you're love when you're tight end. I really like him. I think they need to get him more involved in the game.
Loveland.
I like your tight end. I think he's a good football player.
I think he got a chance on the NFL.
No, he's an NFL player, dude.
Yeah.
There's no question about that in my mind. Yeah, he's an NFL player, dude, for sure.
You think he's better than Jake Ferguson?
I think he's actually a very good comparison.
I think he's better than him.
I just like him. I think he adds something to your pass game. Mm-hmm. He's a good blocker. Not a great blocker. He needs to be stronger in his core. Mm-hmm. I like him. I think that McCaffrey needs to use the middle of the field, run the ball, man. Mm-hmm. I'm not. It's funny. I don't hate Alabama, but I do hate Nick Saban. I'm not gonna lie. You know why, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
I know.
You can't just quit on my team, man. I'm sorry. You can't.
He said, I almost threw it after reading that last comment. Who was that? He's talking about himself because he's praising Nick Saban. That's funny.
That is good.
Michigan got to play from ahead, and if they're gonna win, I agree with that. I already got that, Remy. And I will say, and again, I'll say this again. Michigan, this is probably one of Michigan's best defenses.
It is.
They got some dogs on that defense. And their sophomore, that's another thing. Quentin Johnson, I think. Wait, am I saying his first name right? Is it Quentin Johnson?
Quentin Johnson.
Yeah, Quentin Johnson, the corner. He's only a sophomore.
Yeah,
he was handling Marvin Harrison until he got injured. He was handling him.
2 years from now, will be a first-round pick. So
I agree.
You keep saying that Michigan doesn't have a lot of great players on defense. I don't agree.
No. I didn't say that. I said they have no first-round pick this year. Because they got a lot of players that's going to leave this year. None of them is going to be first-round picks. Unless maybe Chris Jenkins, but I feel like his stock kind of like pulling down a little bit.
I think Chris Jenkins is going to be a first-round pick. I think he'll be taken near the end of the first round, but I think he's a first-round pick, and he's a dynamic run stopper.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like you could – I think that as –
I think right. You could be right. Mozzie Smith went in the first round. I didn't think he was a first-round pick. So.
I told you last year that Mozzie – no, I didn't think Mozzie Smith was going to go in the first round either. I just told you I like him. Yeah, I like him as a two-gap type of guy. Kind of like the same way, like a guy who can take on double teams and still put some pressure in the pocket.
Yeah, they just don't have the firepower to keep up in a shootout. Nice Agreed. 3 years. I agree with that.
Agreed. Again, shorten the game. Hold the ball 35, 40 minutes if possible.
And double running back sets, man.
Yes.
2 running back sets. You have to do that.
Screen every once in a while with a couple blockers in front of him. Yes. I'm not saying you don't use any space players. That's why I like the tight end. I think he's that guy. Mm-hmm. You get him 5 yards, he'll get you 10. You give him 10, he gets you 15. He makes that little wiggle move and he gets you a couple extra yards. You need that. Corner's the same way. It's not even that he's a dynamic player. For one, he's very functional. He follows his blocks well. And when he sees the hole, he crams it, man. That's again. So
Yep.
you need to do as much of that as you can and keep Alabama's offense off the field. I mean, I'm going to be rooting for Michigan. I know I'm supposed to hate Michigan, but no, I hate most SEC teams, to be honest with you. I just do. I try not to be biased because for what we do here, I try not to come across bias.
Correct.
I hate SEC teams, man. I hate all of them.
I don't like Alabama, man. This is going to be a good matchup.
Georgia. You know what I used to root for when I was a kid a little bit? South Carolina.
Oh, interesting.
Love Sterling Sharp, man. South Carolina.
There you go. That makes sense. There you go. I know we've been talking mostly about Alabama and Michigan. Let's talk a little bit about
Texas.
Yeah, Texas and Washington. So, do Washington have a chance at all?
You know what? It's going to sound funny, Jerome. The same way. Run the ball a little bit more. Find a little bit more balance this way, because the one place Texas is acceptable in is their secondary. Their safeties are good hitters. They're not really cover guys.
Yeah.
Run the ball, get plays in the middle of the field out of a slot or even a tight end. Throw the ball to your backs. Take advantage of that. I'm more worried about their defense, to be honest with you, Jerome. Washington's defense is not great. It's not.
Yeah.
It's solid. And if they get a lead, they can rush the quarterback a little bit.
100%.
But that's all they do.
I agree with you, Ray. I think that, Washington should definitely run the ball. They got Dylan Johnson back there that, can help spell Penix. I like their receivers. So they have a chance, man, especially Rome.
The funny thing is they like to throw the ball downfield. In this game, I want to use the middle of the field and kill clock. I don't want to throw them deep outs that they like to throw all the time.
Correct.
Instead of having them running out, have them run a curl pattern or a post.
Yeah.
Keep the ball clock and the clock moving, man. You know?
Yeah, because Washington just like to score and score fast. They can't do that with Texas, man.
No,
they can't.
No, you can't. You don't want to do that. Yep. You don't want your defense to be out there any more than they have to be.
Correct.
I agree. I'm not saying your quarterback's your best player, man. You have to use him. Use him running the ball. Use him play fake, throw the ball to your backs a little bit, keeping everything in the middle of the field, so that when you want to go outside, you hit a big play.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm leaning. I don't want to. I'm not gonna say who I'm thinking is going. I'm not gonna say. I mean, we're gonna say that, but I think this game can be. If there is a blowout in these playoffs, I think this might be the one.
No, I mean, I think if Washington goes in there and tries to hit explosive plays and turns the ball over, because let's face it, man, yours played great the other day, and we weren't sure if he was going to – I wasn't sure if he was going to play or not.
Yeah.
All week they were saying he's going to play, but I'm like, really?
Is he? Yeah.
Is he? But
he had a really good game.
He played like he hadn't missed a beat, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we know how good Michael Penix is. I need to see a little bit more of the Indiana Michael Penix, where he used to just run the ball a little bit more.
Yeah.
Keep the clock moving.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to hit too many big plays too quickly.
I will say this. We got some really good quarterback play in this playoffs, though. Penix, Ewers, JJ, and Monroe been on fire.
Yeah.
So we got some good quarterback play.
Sounds like the committee got it right, man.
Doesn't it? You're right, because I've been saying this all year long. I'm still not a believer in Carson Beck.
I mean,
good enough to win. He's good enough to win. Don't get me wrong.
Honestly, the one team that deserved to make it that didn't make it was Florida State.
100%.
Two teams that right now probably think they're as good as these four teams is Ohio State and Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, man, we should be in this game, and they're not wrong, but you lost.
Yeah, late in the season too. Yeah. And that matters. That matters.
Absolutely. We all know that matters.
Yeah.
Alabama has survived many early seasons losses, man.
Definitely. But we're gonna definitely evaluate all these bowl games and everything like that in a couple upcoming weeks. I do want to quickly go over some of the matchups that's not going to be in the playoffs real quick. So obviously we're gonna get the Georgia and Florida State, the pissed off bowl, if you want to call it, maybe. I don't know if there's going to be any players kind of drop out of these games, and that's the only thing about when you don't make the playoffs, that you get players that drop out of the game and don't want to play them because get ready for the NFL and things like that. I don't know if there's a lot of that in this game, so this might just be two pissed off teams that are just kind of like clashing. I'm actually excited to see that. Honestly. It's a day of I'm sorry. It's
playoffs. Know that Georgia's playing Florida State.
Yeah, Georgia's Florida State. Yep, December 30th. So that's the matchup right there. I'm excited about that one. I want to see how that goes because again, two pissed off teams. Florida State. I know Florida State don't have the quarterback. And everybody's expecting a blowout. And, hey, it might be. And then everybody's going to be like, I told you so. But two pissed off teams, two really good coaches, Mike Norvell, Herbert Smart.
There's always the possibility. This is what bothers me about bowl games. When you have teams that have high expectations, sometimes they don't want to play in this game now because it doesn't do anything to them.
That's very true, too.
Florida State may be the one team that wants to come out and prove, we should have been in the playoffs. Where Georgia's like, we should have fucking been there, but we're pissed off that we're not.
Yeah, so, that's true.
Talent-wise, Georgia's a way better team than Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
And again, let's not be dumb about this.
Yeah.
If Florida State has the quarterback, it's much closer, without a doubt. But right now, Georgia's the better defense, even though Florida's defense is very good. I still think Georgia's a little better, but we'll get into that later down the road. So.
Definitely. Next one, we got Ohio State going to be playing Missouri. That's going to be Friday, December 29th. That's actually on my birthday. Ew, they playing on my birthday.
Great game.
Playing on my birthday. That's weird.
Good game, though.
Hey, go Mizzou. That's going to be fun watching it. If they lose on my birthday, it'll be fun. I'm just saying. The next game we got is Oregon. They're gonna be playing Liberty on the first, the same day of the playoffs. So that's but okay. Whatever. Next game we got Penn State gonna be playing Ole Miss 11 versus 10. That's gonna be playing Saturday, December 30th. We got Oklahoma versus Arizona. That's gonna be December 28th. That's a Thursday. LSU is going to be playing Wisconsin. Ugh. That's going to be same day as the playoffs as well. We got Louisville versus USC. That's going to be December 27th. That's going to be on a Wednesday night. We got Notre Dame. I didn't even know Notre Dame was 16, right? Notre Dame is going to be playing Oregon State. That's going to be on my birthday as well, December 29th. We got, there's a lot of games on the first. Didn't realize. Iowa's going to be playing Tennessee on the first, January 1st. We got NC State versus Kansas State. That's going to be December 28th. Already talked about the Oregon game. I didn't. Oklahoma State is going to be playing Texas A&M with their interim head coach there. We got Clemson is going to be playing Kentucky. They played it already this year, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah, they're going to be playing on my birthday. We got SMU versus Boston College. That's going to be December 28th. And that's it for the top 25 teams. So any of those non-playoff games that kind of intrigue you? I know we already talked about the Georgia game.
Not really.
Yeah,
defense does against Caleb Williams.
Uh-huh.
I mean, of course.
If Caleb plays.
That's a very good point, Jerome.
If Caleb plays.
I keep forgetting the kids are punks and losers now. I'm sorry.
I mean, I am right. Honestly, if there is going to be somebody that do it, it'll be him. 100%.
I can see that. I mean, like
100%. He's already talking about he might come back to college football just because he don't want to play for certain teams and this and that. And he's not going to declare until he knows how the rankings are going to go as far as who's picking what. It's looking like the Panthers right now, but they don't have a first round pick, so it's going to be the Bears. We'll see. I mean, I don't know how you feel about the Bears, but
I think that the Bears should stick with the quarterback they have. But again, that's going to be a popular decision. So
I agree. You need to build around him. It's not just him. That team is.
Williams telling me he don't want to play for me. I mean, are you kidding me, man? Like, I mean, we've seen this where guys have done this. I know the most famous one recently is Eli Manning, and before that was John Elway, and they don't want to play for certain teams. And you know what? I get it. I really, really do. But at least Eli Manning and John Elway let the draft happen, didn't make a stink about it, and then went behind closed doors and told the teams, I'm not going to play for you. Then they moved them.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what are we doing now, man? Like, this guy wants to tell me who he's going to play with for. He's not played it down in football. And you know what? Since quarterbacks and coaches get all the blame for teams winning and losing, you lost this year, dude. Okay?
You did. So, man, I agree with what you're saying, though. But yeah,
I get really frustrated by young guys who should be thanking God every day that they were put with the athletic ability they have and not take it so for granted that they can dictate to other people what they're going to do.
I agree. But yeah, so if you're looking at some of these games, there's a lot of lopsided games, man. I'm not a fan of some of these bowl games. One of my favorite ones is actually the Ohio State Missouri game. I think that's going to be a good one. Penn State versus Ole Miss is probably going to be a good one.
Kansas State should be a decent game, though. I think a good game. I mean, like NC State's defense against Kansas State's offense.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
USC, with their great quarterback who was unranked as a team,
Yeah. We'll see about the Clemson game. Clemson versus Kentucky. That have potential to be good. We'll see. Clemson been hot lately, but I don't know. They're so up and down this year. I don't know how to judge them. I really don't.
I think Penn State, Mississippi will be a good game. I think
that's one of the ones I said. I said that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. What else? That might be it, right? That might be it for me. I don't know.
I just don't have much interest in it. I mean, I'll watch them anyway on TV. So,
Yeah, I mean, we never know how they're going to turn out, too. Like, there'll be some games that we're just like, or we don't even, like, mention them in our weekly podcast.
I didn't mention Miami versus Rutgers, the 28th.
Who played?
Miami, the Hurricane, and Rutgers.
Okay.
We're playing the 28th.
They're actually very comparable teams, actually. Now I think about it.
Here's the difference. Miami is flatlined a little bit after starting out pretty good. And Rutgers started out a little shaky and then got a little better as the season went on.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, so I think that'll be a decent game, though. I mean, Miami, Rutgers. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely see. Yeah. All right, but real quick, Ray, we do have one game this weekend. It's going to be Army versus Navy. What's your thoughts on that one, real quick?
I'll root for Army. My grandfather was an Army guy. My wife's father was an Army guy, but it's always a nice game. It's fun,
Yeah, I'm going Army as well. It's going to be a 3:00 game this Saturday. If you're interested in we're going to have some time without football for a little bit. So at least I have that game this weekend. I'm surprised. Don't they usually have like more than just one game after?
They do have more. There's actually 5 games this weekend.
Oh, really? I don't have anything else.
Furman playing Montana, Villanova playing San Diego State, Albany playing Idaho, North Dakota State playing South Dakota State, Army and Navy.
That's why it's not FBS. That's why.
Yeah, no, they're not FBS. No, they're all division, lower division teams. But
Yeah.
I mean, man, that's my thing. I just debate with a guy who covers the Miami Dolphins, and he said on his podcast that he doesn't really watch college football.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and again, there are a lot of casual fans that don't really like football.
You're right.
I don't understand how you could be a football writer and not watch college football. So I kind of said that.
Oh.
And he's like, well, what's the big deal? I'm like, well, dude, how do you evaluate players that are going into the draft if you don't watch college football? Oh, I watch game film. I'm like, so you're not watching how they perform in games with people around them. You're watching just game film. I'm like, it sounds to me like you're into it just for the money, dude. And he got really offended. But again, it is what it is, dude.
All right. But that's going to do it for us today, guys. This is the RPO College Football Podcast, man. We got a lot of bowl games. We got a lot of things to still talk about. So don't tune out, man. We're going to start getting into some NFL draft stuff. You got the Senior Bowl coming out, all that. So keep us locked, man. I enjoy this time of year, man. I got my team in it again. I think this is the 3rd straight year we're in the playoffs. So that's pretty cool. And we're gonna see how this turns out, man. We're playing Alabama. I'm not scared. Listen. I will say when we play Alabama in that bowl game, and we both got stuck in that bowl game some years ago, I was nervous on that one, and we got pulled out. I was nervous on that one. I'm not nervous this year, and the reason why is
way different teams.
100%, way different teams. And like I said, I got this inner confidence of just like, you want to beat the best. You want to be the best. You got to beat the best. So hey, let's go. Like,
you think whatever they want about Jim Harbaugh, man. Yeah. Jim Harbaugh is as good a coach as there is in this country. Okay, man.
Yeah,
what it is. You don't have to like him. It's fine.
Definitely.
I'm sure he don't care.
No, he don't. He don't.
I mean, really, if you look at him and Nick Saban, their personalities are very similar. The way they carry themselves.
That's true.
The difference is one's an offensive guy and one's a defensive guy. Yeah. And one has a way more proven track record. I got that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the way they like
personality-wise.
When you ask them,
well, as far as football, their mindset for football.
Right. When you ask them dumb questions, they let you know that it was a dumb question.
Yeah.
When you ask them to criticize or evaluate a player, they let you know that you don't really know what you're talking about. Like,
definitely.
I understand. Jerome, how many times have you talked to a media person and they talk down to you like you didn't know what you were talking about? Imagine how coaches feel about them guys.
Yeah.
I talk to them the same way because that's why when I get a chance and they say something dumb like they don't really watch college football, I call them on it.
Definitely. Well, I can't wait. It's gonna be a great bowl season. We'll see. I like a bowl season where most of the teams are level. The last couple of bowl seasons, we got one team that was very dominant, and there's a reason why they're 2-time championship. So, hey, man, we'll see. Shout out to my Georgia guys. But that's going to do it for us today. This is Jerome Jones. That's Ray Roberts. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notification button right on there, right where Ray is. Hit that QR code. Man, I cannot get it today. There you go. Hit that QR code right over here to help.
You're getting better at finding this thing, Jerome.
You are. You're getting better than me, man. You're getting better than me. But make sure you hit that. Make sure you hit that. Follow us on all our social media. Plenty of content, football with college, high school, and pro football. We got 3 podcasts right now, so make sure you go check them out. We got the RPO College podcast. That's what you watch right now. You got the Air It Out podcast, which is on Saturdays.
Let me add, you notice he said NFL, college, and high school football, right?
Yeah.
That sounds like someone who loves football. Okay.
There you go. There you go. So we got all three phases, man. So if you like all three phases or you like one or the other, check that podcast out. We got one forever in it. And the high school one is called First and Foremost Podcast. So thank you guys for checking us out, man. We can't wait to see you next week to see how everything goes down. Stay safe out there. And hey, listen, there's a lot of traffic out there. Make sure y'all driving safe, all right? So y'all can come and watch us. So thanks once again. Have a good one and see you next time. Peace.